Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Tuesday's show. So Ezra Miller has finally done what I said they should have done months ago. They have made a public statement, publicly apologizing for their actions and claiming that they will be seeking mental health advocacy. So they will go and seek help for their mental trauma. This should have happened months ago. If this did happen months ago, the Flash movie wouldn't be the controversial topic it is today. Why didn't it happen? Because Toby Emmerich and Walter Hamada are incompetent people who didn't want to make any decisions on Ezra Miller. They were hoping the situation would go away. New Warner Brothers Pictures Group co-chair people, Pam Abby and Mike DeLuca, have been in this new job, this new position for 2 weeks, replacing Walter Hamada at the head of DC and replacing Toby Emmerich as chair of Warner Brothers Pictures Group. They've been here for 2 weeks. They've already shelved the Batgirl movie, a controversial decision. But they made a decision. They made a difficult decision. They've been here for 5 minutes, 2 weeks, and already Ezra Miller has made their statement. They have apologized. They have said they're seeking mental health advocacy. And this is because of the new joint chairpeople at the Warner Brothers Pictures Group. This is what decision making is about. No matter how difficult a decision is, you make it. You want to cancel a movie like Batgirl, as unfair as it is, and we've discussed this on multiple occasions. I've spoken on both sides of it, that I understand why this decision was made, but I also feel bad for Leslie Grace because she has done everything right and Ezra has done everything wrong. She loses her job and they keep their job, which is wrong. But then I forget that I'm part of this industry and I need to be more cynical about it. This is about the dollar. This is about the bottom line. What does this actually mean now? It means the Flash movie will definitely be released. We heard last week from Boris Kitt from The Hollywood Reporter that Warner Brothers were discussing 3 options, making sure Ezra Miller did not have much marketing when they were marketing the Flash movie. Or, last case scenario, shelve that damn movie, which was very, very unlikely. Of course, the last one, that Ezra would come out and they would apologize and say they were seeking mental health advocacy, help, and counseling. So by choosing the final decision, this really helps the situation. It does. Now, a lot of people will never forgive Ezra Miller for what they have done. We will get the details of this and exactly what they've said, but first I want to discuss it. By this decision being made, and this is a Warner Brothers decision, everyone, make no mistake, they have put Ezra out there to make this statement, a statement that should have been made months ago. This is Pam Abby and Mike DeLuca. As I say, I like them as leaders of Warner Brothers Pictures Group because already in the past couple of weeks they've made 2 very, very difficult decisions. They haven't buried their heads in the sand. We needed a decision on the Flash movie going forward. It couldn't be in this stasis, and they've made the decision to release this movie, so Ezra had to come out and make a statement. And Ezra has come out and made a statement. And as I say, this means this movie is actually going ahead. What does this actually mean for the Flash movie? Well, we've discussed this before. I'm going to remind you of what's going on behind the scenes. Every upcoming DC movie has had changes. Black Adam has thrown out the original post-credit scene and recorded a new one. That film is in the can and they've already started marketing. I've got a lot to say about Black Adam at the end of today's show, so stay tuned for that. Shazam! Fury of the Gods is an interesting one because I don't know if they've changed anything about that movie, because I don't think that movie does anything to upset anyone. And then you've got Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which already seems to have swapped Michael Keaton's Batman for Ben Affleck's Batman, and a very happy 50th birthday to Ben Affleck for yesterday, who seems to be the DCEU Batman again. So changes have been made to Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom as well. And the Flash movie already had reshoots with Ezra Miller in the summer, and I'm being told that Ben Affleck will be back to do more reshoots for the ending of that film. So what I can kind of see what's going to happen, because I don't foresee them cutting Michael Keaton out of this film totally, because Michael Keaton is a huge selling point for this movie, whether you like that idea or not. What I do believe is, at the end of the movie, when Barry goes back to the main universe, originally Michael Keaton's 89 Batman was going to be there. He was going to be the DCEU Batman. I don't see that happening anymore. He will be cut from that ending, and be replaced with Ben Affleck's Batman. But in terms of the flashpoint that Barry creates when he goes back to save his mother, I think Batman 89 will still play a huge part there. So I think in that element, everyone gets what they want. So let's get the details about Ezra Miller making this statement. Ezra Miller seeking treatment for complex mental health issues. In a statement, the Flash star says, "I want to apologize to everyone that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior." By Maya Gallupo of The Hollywood Reporter. After troubling behavior that has led to charges of harassment and felony burglary, as well as allegations of assault and abuse, Ezra Miller says they are seeking treatment for complex mental health issues. Miller says in the statement sent via a representative to The Hollywood Reporter, having recently gone through a time of intense crisis, "I now understand that I am suffering complex mental health issues and have begun ongoing treatment. I want to apologize to everyone that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior. I am committed to doing the necessary work to get back to a healthy, safe, and productive stage in my life." The statement comes after a year where Miller has been the subject of much controversy. Miller, who uses they-them pronouns, was arrested on 2 separate occasions in Hawaii. Once in March for disorderly conduct and harassment following an incident at a karaoke bar, and again in April for an alleged assault in which Miller is accused of striking a woman on the head at a private residence. The parents of an 18-year-old filed an order of protection against Miller, alleging the actor groomed their child from the age of 12. The child has denied being coerced by Miller in an Instagram post. Can I just absolutely be clear about this? If you are groomed as a child, you don't know you've been groomed. So this denial on an Instagram post comes to nothing. You wouldn't be aware of that situation until you went through counselling, and slowly you would understand what's actually happened to you. I'm not saying Ezra's done this. At this moment in time, it's a very serious accusation which clearly can't be proven. Most recently, Miller was charged August the 8th with felony burglary in Vermont, where the actor resides, after allegedly lifting bottles of alcohol from an unoccupied local home in Maine. Now listen to me, right? Obviously, the grooming accusation I find very serious, because I am an uncle. I'm not a parent, but I'm an uncle myself. So I find this accusation very, very serious. But it hasn't been proven. So I'm going to reserve judgment. I couldn't give a shit if Ezra Miller has burgled a house and nicked some bottles of drink. I'm sorry for the people who own that house, who own that drink, but it's not a good look. But lots of actors have done much worse and kept their jobs. After the series of scandals, the fate of Miller's most high-profile project, DC titled The Flash, has been called into question. THR reported last week that Studio Warner Brothers was exploring several avenues for the big budgeted film, including limiting the press Miller would do around release or even shelving the project. What this actually says is how accurate Boris Kitt of the same publication's report was last week. A report Variety copy and pasted. They didn't have the exclusive. Boris did. This shows you that Boris can be trusted. He reported this last week. Always believe Boris Kitt and nobody else. As a last resort, it was reported then that Warner's had received indications that the 29-year-old Miller, whose mother had begun accompanying the actor, would seek professional help. That's the article. Do you realise how many times I've had to start this video again because I've said him instead of they, because I want to be really respectful for the pronouns, because it's no skin off my nose. But I was born in 1972, so as I'm talking about a they, them person, it's very difficult for me to keep that in my memory. I have no issue with people wanting to identify the way they want to. It's no skin off my nose, it doesn't affect my life, and I want to respect how they want to be represented. Any loyal subscriber of mine knows I've been on top of the Ezra Miller story ever since the Flash movie was delayed. From the very beginning, I was very suspicious about the delay. Everyone was saying VFX and there was nothing to see here. I smelt a rat. I kept on digging and digging with every article, with every breaking noise, with every crime Ezra committed. I was more and more suspicious. And I said there was problems with this movie. At the beginning, I said, why isn't director Andy Muschietti speaking? Why isn't his producer sister Barbara speaking? They recently started speaking again. So you could tell something was going to happen. So I was always on top of this story, but I didn't really know what they were going to do with this movie. I always felt it was a possibility that they could can this movie. If things kept on going the way they were, and Pam Adby and Mike DeLuca didn't come here and said, to his mother, you've got to accompany this person. They're a danger to others and themselves. They need mental health advocacy. They need a counsellor. They need help. It's Pam and Mike have made all this possible. Not only have they saved the Flash movie, but they're saving someone who works for them. And quite right too. And Ezra's victims are very important here, but Ezra's important here as well. He's been working in the entertainment industry for a very long time. I'm sure a lot of their experiences haven't been too good either. And he had to do the Flash movie and then do Fantastic Beasts straight afterwards. I'm not making excuses here. This is the situation. So as I said earlier, they have made the decision to release the movie by getting Ezra to make this statement and to seek mental health advocacy. This means the Flash movie, whether you like it or not, is being released. This is the decision that they have made. Whether you think it's fair or you're excited or you're not excited. So I believe this is a positive step. I believe this is a really positive step for this movie being released as well. If there's no other incidents, this should start to calm down a bit and it will be okay. Some people will never forgive Ezra for what they have done. Some people will get over it and some people won't. But as we get closer and closer to June, I think people will get more forgiving. Not everyone. Everyone has an agenda, right? So we know that. If he was to commit one more crime, if they were to commit one more crime, then this film would be toast and this film will be dead. I don't expect Ezra to do anything else with their mother being around them and then getting the mental advocacy treatment that they need. I think everything should be all right going forward. But I repeat, I do respect Mike DeLuca and Pam Adby, the new leaders of Warner Brothers Pictures Group, for taking an actual decision. Batgirl being canned, and this statement is a huge decision to make. A decision that should have been made a long time ago, And now I think I can focus on looking forward to the release of this movie. Because I believe all these upcoming DCEU movies are pretty solid movies that will make solid box office. Who knows? They could do better than a solid outcome. I don't know. But, you know, a decision had to be made. They've made that decision. If there are no more incidents, we should see the Flash movie in June of next year. But I do believe the Flash movie will continue to make stages as David Zaslav, Pam Abby, and Mike DeLuca, those two especially, will look to improve all the upcoming DCEU movies. Are these movies just going to be released and then we're going to burn the DCEU and start again? Who knows? I think when we find out who's running DC Studios and what's going to happen there, we'll get a better picture of the situation. But if all of these DCEU movies come out to no more controversy, and they do well, this could bode well for the future of the DCEU, whatever that future may be. Batgirl composer had an hour and a half of the film's score completed. Batgirl composer Natalie Holt reveals that by the time the DCEU film was cancelled, she had already written an hour and a half of its score by Sarah Lunderbank of Screen Rant. The composer for Batgirl, Natalie Holt, reveals that she had an hour and a half of the film's score complete when it was cancelled. Batgirl was an upcoming DC movie intended to be released exclusively on HBO Max. Leslie Grace was set to star in the titular role, with Adil Al-Arbi and Bilal Fallah directing. Holt was brought onto the film in September of 2021 to compose Batgirl's score after her massive success composing for the Marvel Cinematic Universe's TV series Loki. Yes, I think her music on Loki was pretty solid. I wouldn't say it's memorable, but it was okay. Though Batgirl was scheduled for a 2022 release date, Warner Bros. Discovery announced earlier this month that the film had been scrapped entirely. By the time Batgirl was cancelled, however, filming had been fully completed and the film was in the post-production stage. With a reported total budget of roughly $90 million, according to reports, Warner Bros. Scrapped the film because of both a strategy shift in the DCEU releases and low test screening scores. This was despite Batgirl's initial screening testing the same as the upcoming DC film Black Adam, which is still receiving a full theatrical release in October. But I have given both sides of my opinions on the shelving of this film. But what I will say is that this movie was said by test screenings. It wasn't just a case of the score. Test screening audiences said it was only fit as a TV pilot, and that's why they didn't move it to the theatrical system. They desperately wanted to do that, but it was in no condition, and they didn't want to invest more money in it, rightly or wrongly, and I think that's the core decision. Batgirl's shot cancellation sparked outrage from both fans and industry insiders who were eager to see the character get her own feature-length film for the first time. In an interview with Discussing Film, Holt revealed that she was well into composing process for Batgirl when the film was cancelled. Holt says she has been working on the score for a full year and had written an hour and a half of Batgirl's music. I hope we can actually get to listen to that at the very least. The composer expresses her immense disappointment in never being able to release the results of her hard work, but also says that it was a pleasure to work with the Batgirl crew. Read Holt's full statement below. Don't forget, she did get paid for it, but of course, as an artist, you want your stuff to be watched and, listened to. I had written about an hour and a half of music. I'd been working on it for a year, so yeah, pretty sad what's happened to it. I was on set last Christmas. Adil and Bilal really loved Loki, and that's why I got picked to do the score for Batgirl. So it's a shame that it's not going to be out there in the world after all that time. Like, having spent a year working on it, yeah, pretty disappointing. I don't know. I think it's a massive shame. It's been a pleasure to work with the people involved, but that's all I can say, yeah, because she's got an NDR. Is it a non-disclosure? No, an NDA. Yeah, an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. So anyone who's worked on that film really can't say much, although we'll get to the person who had a lot more to say. Holt's comments highlight yet another sad loss resulting from Batgirl's cancellation. The composer was brought onto the project after the Batgirl directors heard Holt's Loki score and were thoroughly impressed by her work. And of course, she's a woman, and because it's a female lead, we have to have a female composer. Go figure. In July, it was announced that Holt was nominated for 2 Emmys for her work on Loki, including Outstanding Music Composition for a series original dramatic score and Outstanding Original Main Title Theme Music. Given that Holt is also set to compose the score for Loki Season 2 and pen the music for the Star Wars Disney Plus show Obi-Wan Kenobi, there is no doubt that her Batgirl score would have been an exciting and memorable one. We don't know, we haven't heard it, you can't say that. With most films typically running between an hour and a half to 2.5 hours, it's safe to say Holt composed more than half of Batgirl's full score by the time the film was cancelled. Much like the other cast and crew that worked on the film, Holt is rightly upset to see so much of her hard work go to waste. However, with fans already calling for the director's cut of Batgirl to be released, perhaps audiences may still get to hear Holt's Batgirl score sometime in the future. I think if we do see this film, it will be on home release and not on streaming, but it won't be anytime soon. They can't release it now because it's just going to confuse people that she's still part of this universe. Now, I think to calm people down, what they may do is let Leslie cameo in the Flash movie or something along those lines, and maybe they will still introduce her into the DCEU or the new universe that they're planning if they don't stick with the DCEU, or she could be in Matt Reeves' Batman universe if that's still going ahead. So I still think there are options for Leslie Grace as Batgirl. Hold on tight. Sticking on the subject of Batgirl, Batgirl actor blasts WB CEO. His cowardice is breathtaking. Anonymous actor airs their feelings following the film's surprising cancellation. Speaking of cowardice, this person is speaking anonymously because if they spoke blatantly, they wouldn't work in this industry again. But I think they're going to hunt this person down and find out who they are, that's for sure. An unnamed Batgirl actor has hit out a Warner Brothers discovery. It's probably Leslie Grace. The actor who worked on the now cancelled Batgirl movie has some choice words for Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav. None of these things matter to an imbecile like WB Discovery CEO David Zaslav, they told IndieWire. His cowardice is breathtaking. I am glad I got to participate and I wish the best for all those involved, except the suits at Warner Brothers, but they all get replaced sooner than later. You're not going to replace David Zaslav, sweetheart. The anonymous, I'm just saying, maybe it's a woman, yeah? I'm just guessing. The anonymous actor also praised star Leslie Grace. Would it be funny if Leslie was the anonymous person and she's praising herself? Who was recently tipped for a new Warner Brothers Discovery project that might even see Batgirl return. I am very offended by what happened and feel terrible for the directors and Leslie Grace, who were all wonderful to work with, as well as all of the technicians, said the unknown actor. It was an enormous rewarding challenge to make this movie during COVID and during the cold weather in Glasgow. Oh dear, you poor person, you got a bit cold. They always have to add in that they suffered a bit. It's hilarious. As well as Batgirl's fellow actors hitting out at the studio, it was also reported that WB chief Walter Hamada almost quit his job due to the cancellation of the movie. Zaslav has since defended his decision to can the upcoming superhero flick. We're not going to release any film before it's ready, he said. We're not going to release a film to make a quarter. We're not going to release a film. The focus is going to be, how do we make each of these films in general as good as possible? But DC is something that we think we can make better, and we're focused on it now. Excuse me. After cancelling Batgirl, Warner Brothers Discovery announced a new 10-year plan for its DC film slate, attempting to mimic the success of Marvel Studios with a more structured, phase-like approach. Whether or not this pays off remains to be seen, but at the moment the studio is still looking for its very own Kevin Feige and still hasn't found them. We don't know. They haven't publicly announced who the president of DC Studios is going to be. They may well have found them already. Just because you, the press, and I don't know what's going on, although I've heard some rumours, it doesn't mean the decision hasn't already been reached. I sympathise with this actor, actress, whatever, right? But there's no point. I understand why they're frustrated. I would be too, and so would you. But the job is done. And as I said on the top of the show, at least Pam Abby and Mike DeLuca are making decisions. That's what leadership is about. And when you're in charge, you can't hide away and hope a problem will go away. And well done to them for facing these problems and dealing with them at long last. Geekosity and Mickey Sutton are not the most reliable of people. They always claim that they're the ones that saw things coming and they said this and they said that. But there's an article here I want to read to you, kind of interesting. Zack Snyder says Rock's Black Adam fits in his universe. Now, he's taken a statement Zack made during the marketing of Zack Snyder's Justice League to Tyrone Magnus on his YouTube channel. That's what I say. You can't rely on him because that's a clickbait article. But anyway, we'll go on. Written by Joy Lynn, Parahignog Francisco, and Mickey Sutton, editor-in-chief and owner. Director Zack Snyder can see The Rock's Black Adam in his universe, as some fans still express concern over comedic scenes in the first Black Adam trailer. What comedic scenes are those? I don't remember very many. I mean, don't you want any listen, as much as every movie needs to do this, by the way, you need balance. Even the Snyder Cut has an element of comedy in it. I didn't hear anyone complaining about that. So, as some fans still express concern over comedic scenes in the first Black Adam trailer, one person has no issues in including him in the Snyderverse, Zack Snyder himself. The internet has a short memory. Sometimes many forgot last summer Zack Snyder expressed his approval of The Rock's Black Adam in the Snyderverse via Tyrone Magnus on YouTube. Snyder admitted, I think he would fit in the world, so it's interesting. The interest is mutual. Last time I checked, Zack Snyder's not running the DCEU, and until he is, this isn't very relevant. On April 11th, 2021, we scooped that Henry Cavill could cameo in Black Adam. We were all scooping he could come back, but will he? At the time, Geekosity was alone in this. No. Since then, the rumour continued to generate noise. At this point, it's inevitable. Moreover, on June the 19th, we leaked that Snyder's Man of Steel influenced Black Adam. Insiders have reportedly told us that The Rock loves the Snyderverse and he could find his place in it in the near future. Insiders, which means we have no evidence this ever took place. After all, The Rock will become an advisor for DC Studios. Well, that's just a rumour and we don't even know if that's going to happen at this stage. If Black Adam doesn't do well, he won't be advising shit. So don't jump the gun, Mickey. Still along the lines of overhauling the DCEU, DC Studios now apparently takes on Black Adam himself as an advisor. As I've just said, that's a rumour. You don't know that. Yes, per Giant Freaking Robot. Another article, another publication on the level of geekosity that you can't really trust. But they're like a broken clock. They may be right twice a day. The Rock has landed a different role on DC Studios. To some, this is a shock. No, this is no shock because what you're saying can't be proven. However, The Rock is more than just an actor and a professional wrestler. He's an accomplished businessman. The Rock's business smarts could provide a boost for DC Studios. Right, let me explain something to you. David Zaslav is one of the best business managers in the business. You really think he's going to go to The Rock for advice? Nah. Sources explain The Rock seeks Black Adam to be an essential part of the 10-year plan for DC, and that decision won't be made until we see the box office for said movie. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav wants an MCU-like structure for DC movies. We initially broke the story on June the 1st, 2021. Nobody else but us was talking about it then. You mean apart from Variety and The Hollywood Reporter? And me and a multitude of other YouTubers. But apart from that, you are the only people talking about it. On August the 9th, we covered the YouTube host Seal Abdul's report that Zaslav will utilise the Snyderverse timeline for the DCEU's future. Right. As I've explained before, this could be a temporary measure until they get releasing all these movies and then they start again. It just could be a pragmatic situation to implement the Snyderverse for now. It means nothing more than that. So be very careful trusting people selling you snake oil. I'm just trying to be honest with you. The Rock wants in by advising DC Studios. he'll have a seat at the table. You don't know that, and that's not very likely. DC's consigliere, Alan Horn, is on board. It seems Zaslav is enlisting Horn's hand in finding the franchise's counterpart for Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige. DC needs someone who has the big picture in mind, and that someone has to have a huge stock knowledge of the general DC storyline. Above all, that person has to be a DC fan through and through. Not necessarily. You could literally sit there for 6 months studying and researching and watching DC documentaries. You'd be pretty versed in it. Of course, I'd rather have a passionate fan who's a good, experienced producer as well. That doesn't necessarily have to be The Rock, by the way. Zaslav does not see former DC Films president Walter Hamada as that person. No shit, Sherlock. As a matter of fact, Zaslav ghosted Hamada about Batgirl's cancellation. The Rock wants Black Adam to another the DC. Let's say that again. The Rock wants Black Adam to anchor the DCEU. In other words, to be the DCEU's Iron Man. Again, there's no evidence of that. But if that was the case, it has to make money, doesn't it? Although Henry Cavill's Superman, Ben Affleck's Batman, and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman form the DCEU's heart, Black Adam could thread them all together. Significantly, his Black Adam nearly debuted in the Snyderverse. He was supposed to be in Suicide Squad 2 before Hamada junked it. The co-producer, Mike DeLuca is now the co-chairperson and CEO of Warner Brothers Film Group. DeLuca and Pam Abby replaced Toby Emmerich, who despised the Snyderverse. If not, at least the actor-producer can provide his inputs on how to restore a universe. Ahem. That is long in the running. The Rock has been very, very vocal about his love for comics, and his awe on how Cavill portrayed the Man of Steel means nothing, just opinions. The Rock has had ideas in his mind, 41 titles under his belt as a producer. He would clearly have a big picture mind frame for a specific franchise. The problem is, most of his films, my friend, are not very good. So, now, just 2 years ago, he even served up the challenge to the Justice League, saying that the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change. Yes, Mickey, it's a fucking slogan. Zaslav has a vision, thus he needs people with him to help him stick to it. Even Marvel Studios can't please everybody in all their projects, but they have the big picture clear. Feige refines it. Eventually, it will all settle, and hopefully DC Studios finds its worthy navigator soon. The Rock will be watching, and we know Snyder likes him. The hierarchy of power at Warner Brothers is about to change, but that could be nothing to do with The Rock. In fact, I'm telling you, it's nothing to do with The Rock. So, right, we're talking about a 10-year plan. Mickey Sutton is talking about a defined universe. Right now we have the Snyderverse, we have the Batman universe, we have the Joker universe, we have the Berlanti universe. We need one size fits all, and the new president of DC Studios has to make decisions there. So I'll call bullshit on most of this. I'm a Snyderverse fan, and so is Mickey Sutton, and he's reporting in that way. But just because we want something to happen, it doesn't mean it will. I'm not saying the Snyderverse can't and won't be restored. I have no clue what they're thinking about that. At this moment in time, there's nothing going on with that. We'll have to wait and see what the future holds. But I'm not done yet talking about Black Adam. I forgot how toxic the wrestling fandom could be, and now they're using the fact that The Rock, aka Dwayne Johnson, decided he didn't want Black Adam to be the villain in the first Shazam movie and wanted Black Adam to have his own movie. They're using this as a hammer to beat him over the head with. So there's been lots of posts that I've noticed Snyderverse stands are using this against him as well. So Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, posted this on Twitter while quoting an IndieWire publication. Basically, they were going to do an article. So here we are. Dwayne Johnson fought to keep Black Adam out of Shazam to avoid doing a disservice to the character. Now, this is an old story. The Rock has been saying this for a while. Dwayne said this ages ago, so I don't know why this is kicking off now. So this is what The Rock had to say. 100% true. Original script had both Black Adam, Shazam establishing their origin stories in one film. I fought hard for both characters plus JSA to have their own standalone films for the fans to enjoy and protect Black Adam's ruthless and extremely violent tone as we built out DCU. So, you know, there's a lot of people who are not happy about what The Rock said here. So let me give you my view. I've given you this view partially before, but I'm going to give you a more rounded view. So I understand having Black Adam as the villain of the first Shazam movie would have been epic, awesome. The Rock and Zachary Levi, you know, facing off very quickly in the first movie would be great. And for that element, you've lost a lot of box office potential by not doing that. But just imagine critics and fans seeing a Shazam origin story and a Black Adam origin story squeezed into one, and it not being long enough. Because to do that, I think you need 2 hours, 2 hours 30 minutes, 2 hours 50 minutes, maybe even 3 hours to let it breathe. Now, the audience you want, which is families, I don't think are going to sit there and watch a 3-hour movie. Ultimately, even though Shazam would have made a lot more money, there was no longevity in having Black Adam, aka The Rock, in the first Shazam movie as the villain. Ultimately, The Rock made the right decision and fought a good fight. Now, in those elements, because Mickey Sutton's been talking about him maybe being an advisor for DC Studios, this proves that The Rock is a very intelligent producer and understands movies. By having Black Adam have his own movie and having the JSA in this movie, and he's talking about filling out the DCEU with his universe and allowing the JSA to have their own movies. So time will actually tell if Black Adam will get more movies, if the JSA gets projects as well. Theatrically, the JSA are amazing in DC Comics. They were there before the Justice League. If this is successful, this could really, you know, spin off to other things, and that would be really exciting. But going back to The Rock's decision, I think he made the right decision. Now, his detractors, like many toxic wrestling fans, are saying he just wants to be, you know, the star of the show, and it's all about his ego. I'm sure partially he wanted to star in a Black Adam movie as Black Adam. But when you listen and read his explanation why he wanted Black Adam to have his own origin movie, it makes perfect sense. Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate, terrific. You know, all these different actors playing the JSA, very good in their roles as well. I can tell you that. So I think ultimately The Rock made the right decision. You have been watching Tuesday's show here on Movies TV Mad. Our main headline today: Ezra Miller has finally come out to apologise and confirm that they will be getting mental health advocacy for their problems. And as I've already confirmed, this means Warner Brothers Discovery will be releasing the Flash movie probably some point next year. It's supposed to be coming out June 2023 of next year. I expect that maybe to be changed. I don't know if it will come sooner or later. I'm sure it's going to get more reshoots as well. So they're your main headlines. The Flash movie now, because of this statement from Ezra, is definitely happening. And now it's definitely happening unless Ezra breaks the law again. I don't want to talk about Ezra and their personal life. I want to move on from it now. And I know some people say they've done this and they've done that. And I agree with you, but this is Hollywood and this is the way it works. Am I happy the Flash movie is still going ahead? Of course I am. I'm a DC fan. I want the world to see the Flash movie. And even though I've seen a test screening, I'll tell you this now. I don't believe the movie that I saw is the movie that will be released in theatres. I'm very, very happy about that. Have you ever asked the question why the Flash movie has had more test screenings than any other DCEU movie? Because they're planning to make dramatic changes, which is very exciting for me, which means I'm going to get lots of surprises now that I don't get to see the same movie again, and the movie will improve. I have absolute trust in David Zaslav, Mike DeLuca, and Pam Adby and their decision making. And I'll repeat again, so much respect for them for actually not hiding under a rock like Hamada and Emmerich and actually making decisions. The decision, the tough decision, the controversial decision to shelve Batgirl and to get Ezra Miller to finally own up to their situation. Now we can move forward and look forward to all these DCEU movies. Because I'll say this, despite the DCEU having all these issues from the very beginning, in terms of art and filmmaking, the DC Extended Universe is leaps and bounds ahead of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you again for Wednesday's show. Until we see each other again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.